You're watching the Dallas Cowboys Report, and I am your host, Tom Downey, here to break down everything going on right now around the Cowboys, rumors and news style. We're going to begin with some rumors, with Zeke Elliott leading the way on today's show. Is he injured right now? Yeah, 4 stars on this one. Elliott is currently banged up. Now, as many of you know, he's been battling that hamstring strain. That, however, is not the only injury currently going on for Zeke Elliott. He's got some more he has to deal with right now. There is now a calf bruise that Elliott is currently battling. He's just continuously banged up right now, which is a little bit concerning. He's still dealing with that hamstring strain. Now, Elliott says he's going to be just fine to go, and he'll be able to play all of that. But he hasn't been the same guy this year, and a lot of this, I think, truly came down to once Dak went down, his numbers have dropped off significantly, which should make sense because also the offensive line is very much banged up. He's averaging less than 4 yards per carry, but he has done a good job of turning 0-yard gains into 2- and 3-yard pickups. Meanwhile, Tony Pollard has offered a little bit more explosion this year, big plays in particular, but he didn't have his best game against the Ravens. I will make note, Pollard did play more against the Ravens than he had previously this year. It was actually his highest snap percentage of the entire season on offense. That calf bruise came at some point during that game. I wonder if that was a factor in why Pollard got just a little bit more work than what he'd been getting as of late. Let's move on now to this question for you guys. Should the Dallas Cowboys just sit Zeke? Sit him down for the rest of the year? I actually say no because I need him in my Dynasty Fantasy League, so I'm being very selfish there. But we've made the argument before about how, hey, maybe you should give a little bit less work to Zeke and a little bit more to Tony Pollard. So get your votes in here. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. If you get that ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and type P for play or type in S for sit. Let's talk about trading away Zeke. Can you get a haul for him? No, guys, come on. We've been over this. And yet something called Sportsnot, with a verified football writer, put out 3 realistic trade scenarios for Zeke. We'll go one by one here because this is about as realistic as me becoming Cowboys owner, which should actually happen, by the way. Their first trade offer was the Cowboys send Zeke Elliott to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in exchange for Ali Marpet. Now, if you don't know who that is, he's a really good guard. The Bucs would not do this trade. It doesn't make sense to them from a financial perspective. It's not something they would pursue. The best part about this, it was the best trade offer that they had. Here's one, sending Zeke to the Chiefs, who just spent a first-round pick on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Tyrann Mathieu goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. I don't know why the Chiefs would do that. That's pretty stupid of them. And to cap it all off, Kyle Fuller and a draft pick goes to the Bears, or from the Bears, in exchange for Zeke Elliott. God, I mean, what are we doing here? Shout out Vincent Frank, who is somehow verified on Twitter and thinks this is Madden with this art. This isn't Madden, you idiot. Like, these are trash offers. Like, no other organization is going to be like, ooh, yeah, I can take on a 4 yards per carry back. Let me just give you my best safety, my best defensive player, or my best corner if you're the Chiefs or Bears, respectively. This is stupid. This is the stuff I have to deal with. This to tell you people, no, these guys are dumb. How is that realistic? Come on, man. Do better. Be better. Don't put out this stupid stuff. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Zeke's trade value is not remotely worth a top number 1 corner and a draft pick. It's not remotely worth Tyrann Mathieu. Like, what are we doing out here? What are we doing? It is 2020. Let's be smarter, okay? Now, with that in mind, I'm giving you guys a chance to save this for me. What is Zeke's trade value? Let me know in the comments section. Because whatever team hypothetically would trade for Zeke has to pay him about $10 million per year. You're still making him a top paid back in the NFL. And Bill O'Brien, by the way, is not an option. You cannot cite David Johnson trade value. O'Brien's been fired. He does not count. So let me know in the comments section what you think Zeke's trade value is. Let's talk Dak extension now because Stephen Jones talking about it once again. I'm going to give this one 2 stars. I want to give it 4. It should be 4, but we'll see about the Cowboys. Now, Stephen Jones was saying how length was an issue for the Cowboys, and it kind of got picked up and ran of, they're talking with Dak. I'm not convinced they actually are because they can't sign a deal until the end of the year anyway. They can't do anything at the current moment. It is going to be expensive for Dak Prescott. And in reality, outside of Patrick Mahomes, the biggest outlier in terms of quarterback contracts, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Big Ben, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, that deal was a disaster. All those guys signed for 4 years or less on their extensions. So if you're Dak Prescott, you're not going to sign a 5-year deal. And if the Cowboys so badly want one, add a fake year. It is as simple as you can just write it in, 5th-year voids automatically. It is super easy to do, and if the Cowboys don't want to do it because they're being weird with Dak Prescott, it doesn't make any sense to me. The Cowboys, in reality, and we'll talk more about this in the coming days in the offseason, they have to make a decision because they're going to be in quarterback draft range. You either pay Dak this offseason or you know what? Draft a quarterback and move on. Those should be your options because in reality, your nightmare scenario is that the Cowboys don't pay Dak. They franchise tag him. They do not draft a quarterback either. They roll into next year having not paid Dak Prescott. He has a great year. You're picking in let's say, 27th overall, something like that. You get close, but you don't win the Super Bowl. And then Dak says, all right, peace, I'm out. And now you're screwed because the rest of your roster is built to win now, but you know the most important part. If you're Dallas, this is a pivotal offseason for you, just like last offseason. Get it started off correctly. Make your decision on Dak. If he's your guy, he's your quarterback, just pay him. He's top 5, top 10, top whatever. He's damn good. Just pay him if that's the route you want to go. I am unconvinced the Cowboys will actually pursue that, though, because they do weird things. So let me know what you think will end up happening. Will the Dallas Cowboys extend Dak Prescott this offseason? Type Y for yes, or you can type in an N for no. Now, today's show made possible by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. That will take you right into the BetUS site and use promo code Cowboys125. Now, when you put down at least $100, you will get that 125% deposit bonus, so an extra $125 to bet on. And if you email us, cowboys@chatsports.com, we'll get you guys hooked up with a Dak Prescott jersey. So again, email us, cowboys@chatsports.com. That link will be in the description. It'll be in the comments, or that link, the email, I should say, will be in the comments in the description. If you have any questions or once you've signed up and deposited, that's cowboys@chatsports.com. Let's talk draft now. Micah Parsons to the Cowboys actually comes to us from Micah Parsons himself. I'm going to give it 2 stars. Now, this might come as a surprise, but the Cowboys front office that loved Jalen Smith and loved Leighton Vander Esch, and also was very high, by the way, on Kenneth Murray, also might like the super athletic linebacker in Micah Parsons, who might not be the best in coverage. But Parsons tweeted this out before the Cowboys game against the Ravens and says, I hope I stay in that blue and white. I don't know about you guys. I think it's pretty clear Parsons is talking about the Cowboys here. Yes, there are other blue and white teams. He's talking about Dallas. Not to be too egotistical, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here. Look, Parsons, ignoring positional value, is a very good defensive prospect. He's great against the run. He can blitz. I don't trust him in coverage. And the value of an off-ball linebacker isn't that high. And oh, by the way, he didn't play this year. Last time we saw him, he was really good. But I am, and maybe it's not fair to Parsons, but specifically for this Cowboys team, I have been burned these past couple years by an athletic linebacker who can blitz, who's a good run defender for the most part, but is still a little bit raw in his football IQ, and oh, by the way, has issues in coverage. Because I just described Jalen Smith. That's my concern in terms of you bring in Micah Parsons, and then you got another highly invested linebacker. I think if you've got to focus elsewhere in the draft. So I think there is a real chance the Cowboys choose to pursue a Micah Parsons to be a new long-term linebacker for you. I don't know if that's the best route to actually go. I'd rather trade down. And honestly, if you trade down to 7, 8, 9, or whatever, and then you take Parsons, I feel better about it. Or you take a linebacker on round 2, I feel better about that. So with all that in mind, let me know who you want the Dallas Cowboys draft. Is it a Micah Parsons? I already saw some Justin Fields, Trey Lance comments. I'm sure we'll get to those in mailbags going forward, and of course leading up to the draft too. But let me know in the comments who you want the Dallas Cowboys to take. Let's talk injuries now. How about the return of Tyler Biadasz? I'm only going to give it 1 star as it relates to this upcoming game. Everything is off schedule-wise, but it's Thursday. Biadasz is eligible to return from IR after injuring his hamstring pregame against the Steelers, and I want him back. Don't get that wrong at all. I think the timing isn't quite right. I think because of the lack of practice time, I think next week might be a more realistic return for Biadasz. But McCarthy said he does have the chance to practice this week. The Cowboys were super cautious when it came to the injury of the hamstring for Chidobe Awuzie, and they're going to do something very similar with their young future center. But I do want Tyler out there because especially last week, or I should say 2 days ago, that sounds weird, Joe Looney was not very good. He struggled. I guess he's trying to look for work, and that gets him into trouble at times. I don't think he's a particularly great center. I think, frankly, he's probably declined a little bit. I think he misses having Zach Martin, too. I want Tyler Biadasz out there. I want to get him more reps. Even though your season is over in all reality, getting Biadasz 2 more starts late in the year, I think is worth bringing him back if you don't have any concerns about him making that hamstring injury really bad. Time for one everyone almost agrees with. How about firing Mike Nolan? 3 stars. I think the Cowboys should do this. I am unconvinced Mike McCarthy feels the exact same way. I'm going to give this one 3 stars here because I think the Cowboys need to make a decision in terms of Mike Nolan. I think they have to move on because, yes, the players have blame here too. Do not get me wrong. The stats, the production out of this Cowboys defense, this stuff, unacceptable. You're last in points per game. I could rush for 100 yards against this team. They're terrible. And the players have issues too. I absolutely understand that. I understand that. But we've broken down a replacement for Mike McCarthy already on the channel. If he does get fired, we'll break down that news and more replacements as well. Because we have the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's why we have the most subscribers among Cowboys non-actual YouTube channels out there. No one else comes close to us. If you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe today. That way you don't miss out on anything. Now back to Nolan here. There were some signs of growth early in the middle part of this year against Philadelphia, around that time frame, against even Minnesota too. And since then, they've hit the regression curve like the banana splits and have fallen apart. It's been a complete disaster there. I cannot justify keeping Mike Nolan. Your argument about keeping Nolan is the players are bad. And that's probably true. But you know what? They weren't this bad with Chris Richard. Now, I think the Richard Marinelli defense, and Richard's kind of hinted this in media interviews, they kept it simple because they had to, because the players weren't quite good enough or smart enough or adaptable enough. And they went to a complete 180 there and went overcomplicated with Mike Nolan, which I get. But this player and scheme setup is not working. The play calling and the defensive coaching is making the players look worse. The players are making the coaches look worse as well. It's not working together. So rather than try and pick just one to move on from, let's blow it all up. Let's get rid of Mike Nolan, start making a bunch of changes on defense. Frankly, with the guys you have on your roster, I like DeMarcus Lawrence in terms of keeping him long-term. I like Trevon Diggs, maybe Donovan Wilson. That's kind of it. I say you blow it up, and that starts with firing Mike Nolan. So if you agree with me, I want you guys to type in your FN in the comment section for fire Nolan and maybe a different F word if you really want to include that one in there. So if you want Mike Nolan gone, I want you guys to type in your FNs. Let's talk news now here because this got blown out of proportion as far as I'm concerned. Niners-Cowboys was supposed to be on Sunday Night Football in Week 15. It has been flexed out, the first time in Cowboys history a game has been flexed out because they are normally the big-time ratings draw. That means no more primetime games the rest of the way for Dallas because you're not going to get Eagles-Cowboys or Giants-Cowboys flexed in, barring an unbelievable turnaround, which isn't going to happen. So just keep that in mind. In terms of what's next there, in terms of the replacement game, the Browns at the Giants game. That game got flexed in, which imagine saying to someone even earlier this year, yeah, they're going to flex out Cowboys-Niners in exchange for Browns-Giants. Let that sink in for a second. Now, I do want to go on one little tangent here, if you guys don't mind, to wrap up today's show, about the Giants specifically. And this is really more for Cowboys media members, and you guys know who you are. Stop saying it's Jason Garrett's Giants. No, it's not. It is not his team. That is Joe Judge's team, and you know what? The reason that they're 5-7? Because the defense is actually pretty good. The offense is bad. They have not had any success except the one time they played the Cowboys because the Cowboys' defense is terrible. So stop saying Jason Garrett's Giants. And you media members out there who keep propping up your boy Garrett and trying to drag down McCarthy and Kellen Moore every chance you get, and you guys know who you are too, stop it. It was time for Garrett to move on. I know you're upset that Garrett's not leaking you stuff anymore. Time to move on. Get some new sources. I am sorry that you don't have Garrett being your buddy boy anymore. He's gone. Stop acting like a jilted lover and constantly bringing him up. He's gone. If you don't like McCarthy, that's fine too, but stop bringing up Garrett, please.